Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today is the day. We are finally diving into the grand finale of the Johnson-Voynich Laboratory Manual. For centuries, this manuscript has completely baffled the greatest minds out there, always presenting itself as this absolutely unbreakable cipher. But today, we're not looking at it as an unsolvable mystery anymore. We're going straight to the ultimate breakthrough, the Michael Scot Protocol. We are going to trace its master pharmaceutical flowchart, break down its brilliant chemical mechanisms, and ultimately uncover a hidden voice that's been waiting over 800 years to be heard. So, what actually happens when you strip away the noise of history's most mysterious book? Think about it. For so long, we've all been distracted by the sheer visual complexity of this text, right? The bizarre plants, the strange astrological charts, all of it. But to find the ultimate truth here, we have to strip away the layers of this mystery like a Russian doll. We're going to move step by step, starting way out on a massive, highly technical flowchart and work our way all the way down to a deeply vulnerable, distinctly human secret hidden right at its core. Because hidden deep within these vellum pages is a truly poignant secret. It's a translated voice that reads, "Listen now, I am Michael, the one they call the Wizard. I am a man of flesh, not a demon of the dark." This is Michael Scot himself, a renowned 13th century scientist, physician, and astrologer to the Holy Roman Emperor, Frederick II. But here's the thing. He was also terrified. This is his hidden voice, waiting 8 centuries for someone to find the silence beneath the numbers and clear his name. Let's look at exactly how he engineered this incredible document to do just that. All right, let's start at the very top. Layer 1, the blueprint. We have to zoom way out and look at the massive architectural layout known as Folio 86B. Now, historians have often admired this sprawling map as just a piece of bizarre, eccentric artwork, but it's actually the operational blueprint for Scot's alchemical lab. It is literally the magnum opus flowchart. It serves as this master translation key for the entire laboratory workflow, governing a recursive structure of 256 subbooks. So no, it's definitely not a map of the stars or some mystical landscape. It is a highly functional schematic for a real chemical laboratory. And it brilliantly illustrates the exact physical journey of these raw botanical materials. Imagine it. They're harvested out in the outer circles, then they move inward, passing through these highly specific processing points called 4P process valves, until they finally arrive right at the center, a location dubbed the equilibrium hub. Which brings us to Layer 2, the mechanism. As this visual blueprint builds into a physical, chemical mechanism, all those materials moving inward have to pass through those 4P process valves we just mentioned. Now, if you check the translated technical apothecary glossary, 4P actually stands for a scruple measurement. But within the logic of this flowchart, these act as physical separators. They're the literal mechanisms that filter the refined medicinal extracts from the raw, unusable noise. It's an ancient analog filtration system beautifully preserved right there in the vellum. And that leads right into Layer 3, the prize. So where do all these meticulously refined materials finally converge? Well, we have arrived at the center, the equilibrium hub. According to the decoded translations, this central rosette is where the final bottling actually occurs. It's the location where the ultimate alchemical gold is synthesized. For centuries, rumors swirled that Michael Scot possessed the Philosopher's Stone, right? The legendary ability to transmute lead into gold. Well, this central hub is the apothecary's exact guide to achieving exactly that. But here's where it gets wild. It wasn't just about mixing ingredients. It was about precision, and specifically accounting for physical loss. You might remember that visual calculation of mass loss through evaporation we see depicted in the biological sections with all the tubs and pipes. That is the 1.16-bit entropy deficit. To a modern scientist today, that's just, well, it's evaporation. Mass loss to the air. But here, in the equilibrium hub, Scot viewed this missing mathematical gap as the exact place where the soul enters the matter. It's just an incredibly beautiful way to reconcile a biological deficit with the ultimate alchemical goal of transmutation. But there's more beneath the surface. Let's look at Layer 4, the ghost in the machine. Because beneath all those clinical weights and measures lies the true structural genius of Scot's encryption. He used this incredibly clever language toggle, where the manuscript actually changes its identity based entirely on how you hold it. If you rotate the text 180 degrees, the symbols translate into those technical English apothecary recipes, the weights and wait times we were just exploring. But if you shift your perspective to a 90-degree orientation, the text suddenly shifts into a phonetic Old English diary.
He literally hid a personal confession inside a technical operating manual. Absolutely brilliant.
To decode that confession, you have to apply a triple filter protocol. First, you filter out the loud laboratory noise by just removing all the @ markers and 8s. Second, you apply a mirror flip to the visual shape. So for example, a backwards S in the text becomes a recognizable S in the mirror. Third, because the text actually flows upwards, you read the phonetic sound from bottom to top, and suddenly you get recognizable Old English words written with foreign shapes. Finally, you translate that sound to modern English. So a word like what becomes listen. This protocol is the exact mechanism that proves how the text was decoded to reveal such a vulnerable human narrative.
Which finally brings us to our core, Layer 5, the confession. Now that we have the key, stripping away those technical markers reveals a man who is absolutely terrified of his own era. He writes, "They watch my laboratory with fear. They see the lead and think of greed, but I see the wetware, the spark of the mind that is trapped in the heavy metal." See, Michael Scot was known to be involved in minting the Augustala skulls coins for Emperor Frederick. He was performing state-level entrepreneurial alchemy. But he was also terrified, with good reason, of being burned at the stake for witchcraft. So he hid his deep humanity, his belief in this spark of the mind, safely behind the laboratory weights.
But get this, the final testament on the page doesn't even belong to Michael Scot. It was actually left on the final folio by his descendant. It's a message that reads, "Keep this secret well, the gold is real, but the bridge, the 44-day cycle, is the true prize." This descendant essentially created a prophetic bridge. They knew a greedy inquisitor would only ever look for the physical gold. But a kindred spirit in the future, someone who actually understood the 1.16-bit entropy and the mirror protocol, they would find the true prize. They would find the bridge between the heavy metal of the earth and the human mind. As we close this explainer, we really have to ask ourselves a pretty profound question. When the line between science, magic, and human vulnerability completely evaporates, what truths are we left with? We're left to ponder how a master 13th century scientist managed to hide his very soul within a technical manual, and how his descendant left a prophetic bridge, meticulously engineered for us to decode 8 whole centuries later. It's just this incredibly powerful reminder that behind every great, cold scientific endeavor, there is a distinctly human story desperately waiting to be told. So what other human stories are hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to find the right cipher? Thanks for taking this incredible journey with me.